Get to the real truth and deal with it. Don't just see it as it is and not worse than it is. Don't just like balance it, but now get to the truth. I mean, listen, if the truth is you've been trying to get a job for 2 years and you truly have worked every day in a particular industry, and the number of jobs in that industry have shrunk down, and you really aren't getting that job, then you might have to look at the truth. The truth is you might have to retool. You might have to say, gosh, you know, the industry I'm in is gone. I mean, gross, simplistic example, but for years, vinyl records were around for 85 years. It was a gigantic industry. And things came and went. During the vinyl record time, what happened? Well, remember those 8-track tapes? Are you ancient enough to remember those things? Maybe you know somebody remembers those things. These big boxes, you push them in and out. Yeah, 8-tracks came and went, vinyl records were still here. And then cassette tapes came, right? And cassette tapes were smaller and more compact and more convenient and more seemingly indestructible. And they came over here and vinyl records were still selling like crazy. If you had a job in vinyl records, you kept it. But then a little thing came along called the CD. And when that happened, almost overnight, you saw an entire industry that had been around almost a century was gone. If you were the guy that worked in the vinyl record factory and knew everything about it, it was the second generation, didn't matter. It was over. And now we laugh about a CD, right? Because everything in this digital world you can have instantly. Who wants to put on a CD? Pretty rare, still available. In vinyl records, maybe there's a small market of people that are collectors, but it's gone. My point is, if you're in the vinyl record business, you got to tell yourself the truth. You got to see it as it is, not worse than it is, but you also got to get the truth and deal with it. You got to deal with the cards you're dealt. You're going to have to retool. You're going to have to change something. You might have to move. If you live in the Gulf, and I don't support anything that's happened there, who could? It's unconscionable what's happened with BP. But if you live in the Gulf and you're a third-generation fisherman, and you fish for oysters, and they're dead, you better get to the truth. Are they going to be dead for 2 years or 10 or 20 to the best of your ability? And you might say, well, I can't do anything else. I can't. I'm a third generation. This is all I know. Yes, you can. Get to the truth and deal with it. Deal with the card you dealt with. You got to deal with it, sure, I'm sure legally, but in the meantime, you got to take care of your family. I'm not saying this off the cuff easy because I've been in those situations where it's impossible, it's unjust, it's wrong, but I still got to deal with it just like you. Am I making sense? It's like, you might say, I've lived here my life. You might have to move. You might have to fish someplace else. You might have to, I know you still got to deal with all the consequences, but you got to take back control of your life. There are unjust things that happen, but you got to take control.
Your 5 non-negotiable values. Really important to look at your values. What are values? Values are what you're going to value as you go through your days, as you go through your weeks, as you go through your life. Values could be, what are mine? I value beauty. So I want to be around beauty as much as possible. I love art galleries. I love nature. I love sunset. I love looking at the stars. I love beautiful food, simply prepared with people who I love. I love beautiful conversations. I love beautiful books because a home with a large library is a wonderful home to be in. So step number 2 in this process to set yourself up for a spectacular life. What are your 5 non-negotiable values? Maybe it's you'll be around beauty every day. Maybe it's no matter what the situation is, I will always live with integrity. Maybe one of your non-negotiable values will be, I will exercise even when I don't feel like it. Maybe one of your non-negotiable values will be family first. I don't know. These are just some things that I want you to think about.
If you think about what makes up who we are. So obviously there's genetics. There's our genetic makeup, so our predisposition, our propensities. And that makes up a percentage of how we see the world and how we show up. But then the rest of it, we're trained on. So we're trained to see the world a certain way. So there are certain people that have something called a negativity bias. And a negativity bias is nothing more than they see the negative first. It's not that they don't see the positive, but they see the negative first. There's other people who see positive first. They have a positivity bias and they see that first. And the truth is, in almost every situation, in every circumstance, there's both. You can train somebody to recognize that there's always both, just like every inside has an outside, every one side of a coin has another side of a coin, every up has a down. That's called the law of polarity. And in the the universe that we live in, there is that law of polarity. And so you can teach somebody, say, okay, if your propensity, if the way you naturally are is negativity bias first, great, be aware of that, then flip over. We call it flip the switch. So if one side of your brain is going negativity first, great, learn to flip the switch. Go, great, what's the positive side of that? That's a skill you can learn, no differently than playing tennis or chess or music.
Don't die with your music still in you. I would suggest to you, if you are not creating, and if you wonder what your purpose is, and so many people wonder, what is my purpose? And they talk about, I don't know what my purpose is. You know what that is? Your thoughts about your purpose are your purpose trying to reconnect to you. Like if you want to quit smoking, and people say, oh, it's such a hard thing to do. Well, of course, that's resistance. And then, you know, who wants to do hard things when easy things like smoking are available? But if you, and people say, well, I've been thinking about it. I said, keep thinking about it. Just keep thinking. You want to lose weight? Keep thinking about it. Put your attention on it. Surround yourself with those kind of thoughts, because the thinking about it process is a part of your connecting to it. Eventually, you will connect to it and you will begin to act upon what those thoughts are. But you got to start by thinking about it.
Really thinking through and using the power of thought of what do you want to be like, what are the skills you want to deliver, what's the service you want to offer to the world. Number two, the consistency of action to not only create that in your own body and your own mind, but start creating that result in the world. That's really important. Number three is courage, because it takes courage to put yourself out there and try to get a little better. Like, it was even just laying in bed, visualizing myself doing something on stage that was way outside my boundaries of like comfort, like walk across the stage really fast, like walk down to the audience and give high fives and, you know, say something strong, or, you know, admit something or share something vulnerable. Like, that's courage. That's scary. But the other thing is, I think that you and I have always had, which sometimes is undervalued, is we also had community. We had other people around. You had Lisa, you know, I had Denise. We had people in our industry or our peer set who we looked up to, or who we could learn from, or who we could be like, this sucks, this is hard. And for me, coming back to your emotional element, that has been everything for me. Community. Having people in my life who I can, you know, when I'm on the road for X amount of time, or I'm dealing with a super hard client, or we're rolling out a leadership program to a Fortune 50 company, or, you know, I'm doing my first, you know, major deal with Oprah Winfrey Network, and I don't know what to do. I am so incredibly fast of asking people what to do. I'm also incredibly fast in sharing how I feel about it. Being like, oh, you know, I feel really awkward about this. You know, I'm unsure. You know, I'm having a lot of self-doubt. How would you deal with it? Like, I'm somebody who expresses his emotions all the time. My frigging tagline is bring the joy. Like, everybody knows that. Why? Because I want to make sure people know we're going to create this energy. Because emotion is not something you have, it is something you generate. Emotion can be an impulse, but feelings is our interpretations of those impulses over a period of time. And I said, I want to feel vibrancy, joy, love, connection, satisfaction, fulfillment in my life. So I'm going to learn to generate those emotions. How do you learn to generate the emotions? You read psychology. How do you learn to generate the emotions? You try. Like, you're just like, I'm going to go, we're going to have date night tonight. I'm going to make it a fun night. I'm going to make it a fun night. I'm going to do things to see, can I make people laugh? Can I make people turn their lights on? You learn to control your own emotions and or deal with them in better ways as you decide to be a more mature person.
My biggest advice to give everybody in the world is, like I say, we live in an external world. Everything is you got to see it, touch it, it's external. If you can, for the rest of your life, live inside of yourself, stop listening to people who are calling you fat, gay, transsexual, nigger. Everything that is makes no sense. All these insecure people putting their insecurities on you, you gotta flush it out. You gotta just be whoever the hell God or whatever the hell you believe in. If you believe in nothing but yourself, I don't care what it is. You gotta take everything and throw it away. You have to believe in one thing, and that is yourself. And I'm not saying don't believe in God or what you believe in, but right now, for you to find greatness in yourself, You're not gonna find it by looking in a book or by even hearing me. I may give you the spark, but you've got to go inside yourself to find it. And that means you gotta be quiet. Shut the f up, go in a room, stop talking, search your soul, search your mind, search your abilities, and you'll find it. But if you're not looking for it, you won't find it. So you gotta go start your journey. And the journey starts with you finding, why the hell am I here on this planet Earth? Why am I here? And if you don't know that, you will live the rest of your life searching, always asking the question, why?
Thank you.